I can't say just one thing. I mean, if I had to narrow it down to one thing, it would just be give yourself time. That's all you need. But you turn on the television and everything is 30 days to abs or 60 days to success. Become a millionaire. In 3 months, and that's the most difficult thing. People want to say, Clint, how did you go from being 154 pounds to being my biggest 306, or when I was competing in the 290s? It's 20 years of work. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's 20 years of every single day killing yourself.
Wrapping a forkful at a time.
That's all it is just consistently and to keep moving forward. And that's difficult to see. And everyone has that block, whether it's work, whether it's marriage, or whether it's school. I didn't like school, and school was the same way. And all I could think about was, I was so focused on how difficult it was going to be to graduate, and I wanted to do that immediately. And you get so blinded by all the work that has to happen between point A and point B, and you just forget that it's just time and putting the work in. So for most beginners, even when I get clients that want to hire me and they're beginners, I'll just say, look, I'll work with you for 3 months only. That's it, and then you've got to just spend some time on your own. The best advice I give David is no, get in there and compete. Everyone wants to say, well, I want to be ready. You're never going to be ready. I don't care if you've got a world record squat, bench press, and deadlift. I don't care if you've come in the gym and you've squatted 1,000 pounds, if you've bench pressed 700 and you've pulled 880. You are never ready for your first powerlifting meet if all you've done is go in the gym and do that. So powerlifting in the gym doesn't transfer over to powerlifting at a meet. It gives you a good guide, but there's so many things that are going to go wrong in powerlifting. Who's going to wrap your knees? What happens when your flight is late? What happens when they're hurrying you and rushing you? So there's so many things that go along just from powerlifting to powerlifting. You can't transfer that over into powerlifting versus a strongman competition. And I've seen so many people that can't squat their way out of a paper bag go in and just kick serious tail at a strongman competition. There are a lot of guys that have been to World's Strongest Man and made the finals of World's Strongest Man that can't squat 700 pounds in full gear. And by powerlifting standards, that's really, really sad. But they can pick up a pair of 400-pound farmer's walk and sprint with it. They can load a 500-pound Atlas stone like it's nothing. And you won't find any powerlifters that are going to do that. So the best thing you can do if you want to compete, forget about comparing yourself to everybody else. Get out there and just go compete, because you're never ready. It's not directly transferable. So just get out there and go compete and have fun. Finish every single event with a smile on your face. At the end of the day, come back with a new plan. Get in there. You're never ready. I mean, it drives me insane when people say, I want to wait till I'm ready. I'm not quite ready. And I was, in my hometown in Kentucky, there's now a CrossFit box, and they were hosting a CrossFit competition for all the local gyms in the area. And I'm talking to some of my friends from high school who are now part of their CrossFit gym. And I wanted to come watch their competition, mostly just to take photos and have fun. And I was like, are you going to be there to compete? No, I'm not ready. You're never going to be ready. Just get in. At the end of the day, you're competing for what? You're competing for a little piece of plastic that probably says like third place women's on it at the end of the day. Get in there and have fun and learn. I don't care how ready you really, really are. You're going to make mistakes on your first competition. I ate wrong. I traveled wrong. I slept wrong. I didn't do this. I never thought about this. I didn't wrap my knees. I should have wrapped my wrist. So and so came to me after the competition and said, why didn't you do this? Or you should have tried this. You come back with a game plan. So no matter what, you're never ready. So you've got to get your feet wet. You've got to get in there and just compete and learn. And you may figure out that competing is not for you. You may discover that powerlifting is not for you. That strongman is definitely 100% not your sport. So don't spend your time training for powerlifting just so you can be good at strongman and then decide strongman's not your sport. You can't expect to be good. But I mean, that's the thrill of what I'm doing now. Is I'm absolutely terrible. Everything pressing, everything overhead, I am terrible at it. I've never been good at any kind of pressing or having anything over my head. I could barely force my hands over my head to begin with, and now everything with weightlifting is overhead. And that is just a thrill because I'm attacking my greatest weakness head on every single day. And I dream about it at night. You know, what am I going to do to fix this? And that's, it either drives you crazy or it's absolutely fantastic. And right now I think it's a little bit of both, mostly fantastic, but a little bit of both. Things are going to happen no matter what you do. You can't prevent certain things. You can put a safety belt on when you get in a car, but you can't keep someone else from hitting you when going down the road. You can't always prevent a tire from going flat. It's the same thing. In any sport you want to talk about, injuries are going to happen anytime you're pushing yourself. You know, if I just want to walk in the gym and squat 135 pounds every day, I'm probably never going to get hurt, but that's not my nature. You know, I want to load the bar and I want to push myself. And I think that's part of why we do what we do as athletes. We all have that hope that tomorrow is going to be better than what today was. So no matter what today is, no matter if it was, you know, great or just average or terrible, tomorrow is going to be better. And that's what fuels us to come back tomorrow and train better, smarter, and harder. You know, as a father, people are always saying, well, your son's got great genetics, he knows how to squat already, he's 5 years old, he can clean a press, he can snatch. Your son's gonna be a great weightlifter someday, or strongman, or whatever. Like, I don't want him to do that. I want him to maybe play another sport or just be a nerd. I don't know. But then I think about, you know, is he gonna play soccer, football, basketball? All those sports have major injuries. And most of those sports, by the time you're 20 years old, you're done. For most people, powerlifting hasn't even begun at 20. Powerlifting for most people begins late 20s, 30s, late 30s. And as long as you want to compete and be active, you can still do it. I've been walking around here all day and I hear my ankles cracking with every step that I make in this big building, and every sound echoes. And none of that came from strongman or powerlifting. It came from martial arts. You know, my fingers are all twisted and broken, and that came from martial arts. I've broken all of my toes, the same thing. So, you know, it doesn't matter what sport you play, but you've always got to pay attention to technique, but still it comes to that point to where you're just going to do whatever it takes to get stuff done. So try to use the best, just use your mind the best you can and back off. And sometimes a deload is great. Sometimes backing off and at least changing exercises for a while is great. Doing something different. You know, I've used this analogy before. It's if you drive your car on a very, very rough road every day at full speed, your car is going to take a certain kind of pounding on the tire, underneath the car, whether you're driving on a gravel road, whatever it is. So if just for 1 month out of the year, you took a smooth paved road to work every single day, and you drove a little bit slower, your car's not going to get that pounding that it would every day driving at full speed on a rough gravel road. So I kind of, you know, look at your training, look at whatever you're not doing in training, and do that for a small period of the year. And I think that really, really goes a long way for injury prevention. But injuries are going to happen. I think that the elite level athletes are the ones that have injuries and find solutions. They're not really just training through them anymore. They're finding solutions around them, and they're addressing the injury right when it starts to happen, before they get to the point where they're at the surgeon's office saying, cut me, fix me.
Friday was my beginning of my 8th month of chemotherapy. I've lost 70 pounds.
Bothered me when it comes to Olympic lifting is people will say, well, if you do the Olympic lift, you're going to become more explosive. And they use the example of, well, that